Have you had some terrible storms hit you in your life recently? Has some terrible things happened to you, like a really bad breakup, a divorce, death in the family, some terrible financial loss, health problems? These things can be overwhelmingly devastating. However, there is hope and there's ways to look at it. Let me show you the number one way that I've learned from my patients on how to deal with these problems. I'm going to present a great story to you that I think we all can learn from. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Dr. Monte with Peace in the Storms Ministries. Today I want to really talk to you about the number one overarching strategy to help you cope with any tragedy that can come your way. Now, there's no strategy that's going to make the pain go away or make all your problems better. I wish there was, but there's nothing magical I have. My magic wand doesn't work, and I'm sorry. But what have I learned that can help you guys to cope with things as best as possible? The number one thing I've learned, I learned it from my residents, my patients. I didn't learn it from textbooks or my schooling or training all the 10 years to be a psychologist. I really learned it from the patients I work with. Now, when we're studying to be a doctor and we're learning all these techniques and stuff, we tend to study a lot of sick people and people are having problems, and how are we supposed to help them? But one thing I've really enjoyed doing is, can I really talk to and study the people who are doing really well? So when I'm in my nursing homes and I go around, I'm seeing the patients that have been given to me to help with their problems. But I always see a lot of other people around who are just sitting there and they're smiling and laughing and friendly with everybody, but they have severe problems themselves. So, after a while I always want to be friendly, and I go and talk to them and say, hey, what's your name? How you doing? Tell me about yourself. And, I sit there and ask them, okay, well, you're doing so well. How do you do it? What's your secret? I was this one guy I got to know, old rancher and rodeo guy, bull rider, and he had diabetes and he had lost his leg, several different amputations, and he lost his whole leg. I mean, all the way up to the hip was amputated. So he just had one good leg still, and that knee wouldn't fully bend, but at least he could put some weight on it. And he had one eye was taken out, I think originally from an injury from a bull riding, but just got worse and taken out. He had no friends or family who was able to come see him from the outside, and yet he was able to still smile and friendly and be laughed. And it's like, what's your secret? And I've said this to many people. I've asked this question to many, many people. I study a lot of people and ask them, try to figure this question out. But this guy just said it succinctly, like a lot of people think. But he said it well. He looked at me like I was stupid. Like, what's my secret for coping? Well, I could get upset about it, but it wouldn't do any good. Like I was stupid, or like it was a stupid question. And such common sense. It really is. Now, I know when you're in the midst of the muck and the mire, it's just not that easy just to get over it, just to accept it. But that's the process. That's your end goal. That's kind of really where you want to end up going, is can you accept what you cannot change? We all know the serenity prayer. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I didn't really like that phrase. I'd see it around on posters and stuff, and I know it was an overused AA cliche that they would often use. And I thought, oh, blah, 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 just psychobabble. But I've really come to appreciate that phrase from my residents that I work with. And because especially the ones who do well, they learn really that, accept what you can't change. There's a lot more to that prayer that I'd like to go into in another video. It's really not necessarily godly wisdom, it's just common sense wisdom for anybody. Accept what you can't change, change what you can. Now sometimes there's some gray areas that are hard to figure out of what you can and can't change, and you got to try to change if you can change some things about it. But so much of our struggles, our mental health issues and coping with severe storms, is we're fighting hard to change the thing that's already happened. A clear-cut example is loss. Like, you've had death of a loved one, grieving situation. Your spouse dies and you're just left devastated. You want to bring them back, but you can't. You know you can't. It can't be changed. And yet you spend months really emotionally trying to do just that. And that's what the process of grieving is. The end goal of any grieving situation is acceptance. And I really like to look at it, any loss, the loss of your freedom of movement due to a health problem, due to loss of a house due to financial situations, loss of a boyfriend, girlfriend. A lot of things can be seen as grieving, not just the death of somebody, but a lot of situations are losses. And can that loss ever come back? A lot of times it's no, and you're best to change it. It's really, I like what that guy said. I could get upset, but it wouldn't do any good. Is your getting upset doing any good? I want to look at that in some other videos because there's some complex things that can go on to try to block us, to keep us from really looking at our problems, accepting our problems. And we need to look at those more intensely. And we really need to take a close look at ourselves and our desires. We all have thoughts going through our heads that hold us back and keep us in a more depressed state, or more anxious state, or more angry state than we need to be. And we have to really take time to look into ourselves. But the number one basic thing to look at is, can you accept what you can't change? The way I like to look at, there's several analogies I like to share in future videos, but the one that I like is the old phrase, it's like beating a dead horse. All right, well, if you're on a horse and you're trying to make it run, but he's dead, can you get him to run? Okay, maybe if you whip him with a whip, maybe if you have spurs on and kick him, maybe if you caress him nicely, pet him, talk nicely to him, put a carrot in front of him. It's not going to run, it's dead. And yet that's so much of what our life is. So much of our struggles is spent in our mental thinking and obsessing and waking up in the middle of the night with thoughts going through our head, are things that we're focusing on that we can't change. And yet we're trying to change it anyway. And it doesn't make sense, but that's humans. We don't make sense a lot of the times. But we can try to learn to make more and more sense, to try to get better and grow and stronger. That's what it's all about. So we want to look at this more closely in other videos, but for now, take a look at yourself and what you're mostly upset about and what you've lost. Can you change it? Do you have to accept that it is what it is, and you got to make the best out of it? So let's learn from some old folks, some of our residents, and let's look at ourselves. So here's hoping you find peace, and God bless you. Please, if you can, subscribe, hit the little bell to get notifications of future videos. I'd really appreciate that, to like and share with this. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.